What's up, guys? It is Wednesday, and I have a pretty cool guest for you tonight because we. So I've been trying to make this happen for a while. I know that we have. It's been pretty crazy couple weeks here for everybody, but we have tonight a very special guest that is a very awesome author. Over 12 books, has written plenty of essays, was a former college professor, and also more relevant right now is that he is running for president of the United States under the Libertarian banner and trying to get the nomination in DC. So, without further ado, I'm going to bring up Mr. Michael Rectenwald. I am stoked. What's up, man? How you doing tonight?
I'm doing well. How are you, man?
Good. So I guess let's get started. Like I've met you plenty of times. We have talked several times offline. And you've had a million podcast introductions. So I'm not trying to have you give your spiel for the millionth time. I will play your ad. I'll play maybe one other clip. But really, there are much more diverse things we can be talking about tonight than just the politics and stuff like that. So I guess like before we get into all that, tell us kind of like give yourself an introduction and tell us why you decided to run for president under the Libertarian Party.
Yeah. So, I was writing books and, since I left NYU, I wrote like 5 books and all about like different cultural and political, social, technological issues. Like I wrote about, I wrote Springtime for Snowflakes, and I wrote Google Archipelago, and I wrote Beyond Woke and Thought Criminal, and then the Great Reset and the Struggle for Liberty.
Yep.
And so I was up at Hillsdale College, ready to give a series of talks for a couple days on the Great Reset. This was back in like July, right? So then I get this was like late July, early August, something like that. I think it's July actually. And I get this, I'm in the hotel room of the college. They have the hotel right on campus, right? So I get this call from, who is it? Mike Heiss. What the hell does he want? And
that's usually what I think every time I see him trying to give me a call. Michael Heiss, what the hell does he want? It's always something different, but always he's a good guy. So
yeah, he's a great guy. And I'm like, hey, what's up, man? I'm blah blah blah. And he goes, look, what do you think about running for president? I'm like, what president of what, man? He's like, the United States. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about, dude? And I thought, man, he has the wrong number, I mean, I was just
this isn't Spike Cohen. Like,
I'm just writing books out here. I'm not like, I never had any political ambition at all. I'm just trying to like make real big interventions in what's happening in my writing. And I'd spoken many times for the Mises Caucus. I was about to go out to Reno when I got struck with COVID right at the airport when I was waiting to get in line to go on the plane to go to Reno. I'd spoken many times at the Mises Caucus. I spoke many times for the Mises Institute, wrote all kinds of articles for them. So I guess he thought, yeah, you're qualified to do this, man. And I was like, wow, that's wild. So
as qualified as a libertarian can be, honestly, like, you have, there's a lot of like intellectual background there. And we don't want to put someone back out there that's like, say, Gary Johnson, who's going to get on TV and look like he doesn't even know what people are talking about at the time. You know what I mean? Whereas like you, like, even if you did want to go smoke a bowl before your interview, I'm sure that you could come across and understand what you're talking about or what they're asking you.
Are you trying to suggest that I smoked a bowl before coming on? Is that it?
That is not what I'm suggesting, but if you did, I'm not judging you. What is Aleppo? Just kidding.
Did I? Yeah, that's a good question. I can't smoke a bowl in here. There's fire alarms and shit.
Oh, Jesus.
So yeah, man, he asked me to do it, and I was like, wow, that's really something. So, and then I thought about it, ran it by my family, my kids, my ex-wife, and we had a family Zoom meeting to talk about it, and yeah, decided to do it because the thing is that decentralization is I think is the only strategy for resisting this behemoth of a state that we're under,
Mm,
and to reject its impositions on us, its mandates and so forth. So that
yeah.
lined up with what I had been writing in my books, particularly the last one where I have a 9-point plan for um, refusing the Great Reset. It's all decentralization all the way down.
Yeah. Well, and so I guess that's a good thing. So like, obviously that's a you guys you're very aligned with the Mises Caucus on that. They have Project Decentralized Revolution. That's
Right.
pretty much what they preach is decentralization, decentralization, decentralization. Um, and like I obviously like I've helped with the Mises Caucus before. I helped them as an organizer for a couple years, a few years back. And I still have like a lot of really great friends that are in the Mises Caucus. And as you know, I've shifted gears into doing the emo stuff, but
Yeah.
at the same time, that's kind of like, in my opinion, the most libertarian plan we can put forth as libertarians. Because let's be real, like as a party, 50 years late and 50 years behind the curve on a lot of things. Like to think that we can, I don't know, like what your opinion would be on this, but like people are talking about like taking back the culture. And I was like, the culture war, in my opinion, we need to forget about that. We need to like fix what we can fix, which is decentralize, or in cases like, I don't know, the Free State Project, centralize in New Hampshire. You know what I mean? Where like, there's concentration and libertarian concentration.
Centralized decentralization. Yeah.
Yeah, it's decentralization. It's centralizing to decentralize, basically. They have like they're even talking about like the Freetown Project and stuff like this. But this is like as effective as libertarians as we can be. Like nobody. I think that you're real. Like there's a couple other candidates that are running that are like, no, like we need to win. Like if only I could win. And I'm like, man, like, are you tone deaf? People think libertarians are fucking weird out there. We're not going to win the election. It would take absolute. I can't even imagine it as a miracle. Like that's how far fetched this idea is.
Yeah.
But we need to be principled, and I think that is what it comes down to. Like if we look back at people, like I know, like you kind of joined the party more within the last like several years, but looking back 50 years ago or 30, 40 years ago, we had people like David Nolan who was talking about, the founder of the party, who's saying, our priority shouldn't be ballot access. It should be being principled and
Well,
staying.
the object is not to gain ballot access. The object is not to get X amount of votes. The object is not to grow the party. The object is to gain liberty. I
Yeah.
mean, that's the real object. What are we doing? And how do we get that? We have to get the state off of us, out of us,
Yeah.
away from us.
Right.
And so,
And you do
that's
that through changing people's mind by being principled. That's how you do it. You know what I mean? It really is like the biggest marketing campaign in the world is to run as a president as a libertarian.
yeah.
And that's why like I do appreciate a lot of the things you stand for. I think we agree on the vast majority of issues.
Yeah,
I
but I mean,
probably
this one question came up at one of the debates. They said, "Hey, what do you think about all this caucus warfare inside the party?" And I said, the Mises caucus and the emo caucus have just got to cut it out. This is ridiculous.
Forest Mommy's actually in the chat right now. She sent me a video of you saying that at the Colorado convention. And that was just so funny. I was like, oh man, I love this guy. These guys are great. But yeah, it's so funny because like, like you could call it something like that. Like obviously the emo caucus putting a slate together to take over the party. Like we're just a bunch of kids who are not kids. We're full ass grown adults, but like we have like our own ideas in mind, and like we're not trying to like I'm not gonna take over the party. Like this is a joke.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
I know it's
But
not a
like at the
joke.
same
You know what
time,
I think it is, man? I think it's like vitally important what you're doing.
well, yeah, that's kind of my point. Is like I want to raise awareness to what I'm doing, what
Right.
we're doing as a caucus, because like there's actual implications that are there. Like we can actually go out there and make a difference to people and bring in
I
people.
do think that culture is the carrier.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what you're doing with the emo caucus is you're using culture as the carrier of the message.
Mm,
And that is a fucking brilliant thing to do. That's what we need to do on much, not no offense, but we need more of emo caucuses types, that with
yeah.
that approach. Not caucuses, maybe, but
That's the thing too, is like it doesn't have to be a caucus, but like you talk about decentralization. For me, I've been in the Libertarian Party for years, and I've been on boards, and I've been doing all this stuff and trying to get organized and do all these things. And as a human being trying to progress liberty or change people's minds, I've done it way more outside of official Libertarian Party means. And this isn't saying that there's no purpose for the Libertarian Party. I'm saying as an individual, sticking to what I'm good at and what I know, what my niche is, that's where I've been most effective. And I think that
yeah,
that's where every person needs to look around them and be like, what am I good at? Okay,
exactly.
go do that.
Exactly, man. That's
You know?
exactly it. And that's why I think I'm the best candidate. I don't want to, go into pitching too much here, but look, we need an educator. We need somebody. That's what I'm good at. I taught university for 25 years at
Mm,
all levels, from freshman through graduate school, and I know how to reach these people. I think this is where we got to draw people from. We got to subvert. See, they're being barraged by the what Hoppe called the intellectual bodyguards of the state. That's the academic class, the
mm,
intellectual class. They're being
yeah.
bombarded by that class on a daily basis, right? So, and for years on end. So that we need to be able to cut through that programming, that indoctrination, man. That has to be done, and the only way you do it is by knowing where the keyholes are, how to
Yes.
unlock them.
And one of those things that like will kind of like deprogram people, or even on the other side of things, it a lot of times will socialize people and desensitize them to things or change their opinions, is like music.
Yeah,
And that's how
absolutely.
actually, like, I, as a teenager, um clung tight to like anarchist worldview, just because a lot of the bands I looked up to, which I thought were anarchists, it turns out they're just like Democrats nowadays, but
Yeah,
statists in their own way. But
yeah,
but music and that alternative art culture, that is a great way to get out there to people. And I know that, like, like I said, we've talked multiple times in person, and I know that you like see that. I remember now, I don't know if you've done your research, but when you came out here to New Hampshire and you did a talk at the meet and greet over at Independence Inn,
yeah.
I don't know if you remember, but I asked you,
I
what's your
remember.
favorite emo band?
Yeah,
And you didn't have an answer for me at that time.
yeah.
But are
I'm
you
going to make
able
an
to?
argument for a particular emo band right
Okay.
now.
All
All
right.
right. You're not going to like it probably, but
Okay. Okay.
I like the psychedelic furs. I think were emo.
The psychedelic, what was that?
The psychedelic furs.
Okay. Okay. Pitch them as emo. Like why were
Okay,
they
well, it's
emo?
very evocative emotionally. It's very, very open, vulnerable, raw lyrics, right? It's not, but they're not heavy metal though at all. They're coming out of the punk new wave
Yeah,
movement.
I mean, like, really, like, the definition of emo is like alternative music that's appeals to the emotion, essentially.
Mhm.
And people will like fight over that just as much they have their like
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
libertarian.
that's what the thing is, that the emo label is very fuzzy. Yes, it's a fuzzy.
Yeah. It's just
It's a
like
very
punk. Like, people call different things punk all the time, or like Billy Joel said, it's all rock and roll to me. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it's one of those things where it's like people have their like purity tests when it comes to music,
yeah,
but
yeah,
I
yeah.
don't think that like I think that like at least with music, people are a little bit more flexible than at least with libertarianism. passing their litmus
I would
test.
say my son's music is also emo, I think.
So when you told me that your son he played music right before the show here, you had me pull up one of his songs, which was called No Control, which, by the way, everyone listening should check out Dylan Reynolds. That's his name, correct? Dylan Reynolds.
Yeah.
And
I never pitch him because he doesn't want me to, but this is the only show I feel that I could do it on.
so I didn't know what I was, but he has this beautiful voice, has great music abilities. And you were telling me he was like one of Mac Miller's friends. This is like one of the last songs that
they were
Miller.
friends from 5 years old on. They played music all through childhood together. Then they started playing, then Mac broke into hip hop.
Yeah.
And Dylan went to what's often called blue-eyed soul. Or sometimes called that, I guess. But I think it's very emo.
It definitely,
he was
like,
Mac
I would have
Miller's
pitched that as emo. Yeah, for
he was
sure.
Mac Miller's first friend from childhood. So the last song Mac Miller tweeted out on his Twitter account before he died was my son's song, "But No Control."
That is crazy, dude. That is so crazy. And I bet that was like completely devastating to your son.
Oh yeah.
Has he, like, and you said that like he's kind of doing this as like a
my
hobby?
son had just recovered from stage 4 cancer, by the way.
Holy shit, dude. I didn't even know that. That's crazy.
Yeah, he had stage 4 lymphoma. So while he was going through chemo, Mac Miller shaved his head to be, because he lost all his hair, Mac shaved his head in solidarity with my son. He flew all the way over from LA for his very first appointment, and he got there like earlier than me, and I was coming from like 4 miles away.
Wow, crazy.
And he was just a great guy, and he was a great friend of my son's. So very deep musical ties. My other son's also a musician.
Dude, that's crazy.
Yeah, they're both singer-songwriters. Yeah.
Dude, we'll have to get them on the show sometime, talk about their music for sure. That's crazy. So like they and he does that, like they both do it kind of more as a hobby, like they don't do a lot of touring or anything like that.
They don't tour. My son Dylan is now a medical student.
Nice.
My other son John Michael is also a musician. He is he's still doing the music, but he's a writer.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Nice. Well, it seems like everyone in the family kind of does their own version of writing and appeals to, the culture in different ways, it sounds like. Correct. So, which is awesome. But like, I guess, so let me play your ad real quick.
Okay.
Just because I feel like it's obligated, like I have to do it type of thing.
Yeah, go play the ad.
And it's a great ad. So
it's a decent ad. We're going to have another one coming up here.
Let's see here.
Dropping from old Dan Smots.
Oh, he's my boy. I love Dan.
If you ask me, there's no role for government at all. I'm an anarcho-capitalist. I don't believe in the state at all. I think the state is a parasite. Okay, the state is nothing but a violent parasite that sucks life out of the public, that deprives the market of capital, and that actually drives people into misery. That's what the state does. I'm not going to make any kind of apologetics for the state at all. My ideal would be a fully private property society in which there's no state whatsoever. We cannot give a monopoly of force to one set of individuals. Why do they have this monopoly of force over us? Why do they have the monopoly of law? We understand that everybody's imperfect. So why do we give a small group of them a monopoly over us, over power, over force within a particular territory? That's what the state is. This is ridiculous. We can't have that. And we certainly, if we really believe in liberty, we want to get rid of the state because it's not necessary. We don't need it. If you ask me,
I just laugh at that, man.
So I think it's funny. Like, you call the obviously they are parasites, and politics by definition, poly is many, and then ticks are blood sucking creatures. So, there's that too. But I do think that, like, it's a good message. Like, people, when we go out there and talk to like normal people, they like don't see the government as blood sucking creatures. They know that they're checks are smaller than they used to be and that their money's not going as far as it used to. But they certainly do not see the government as some kind of evil entity. They see it as a necessary thing. And sometimes they'll see it as a necessary evil. Like
Yeah.
that's why we have the whole like lesser of two evils game that they play every 4 years.
Yeah. You're not going
Libertarians,
to
we
make
don't
this a
play
hard
that.
question, are you?
What was that?
You're not going to make this a hard question, are you?
No, I'm not even like I'm just saying in general, like they like we don't play that game. Like we see through it. And I think that like that's kind of the point is like we're putting new ideas forward and making them more acceptable to people. Now, like I don't believe the Overton window exists. And like I've been fighting about people for a long time. I just think that like, I do think that like people just go through phases in their life. And I think that, our job as libertarians is to just make like our philosophy approachable and palatable. Not everyone has to become an anarchist or agree with us right off the bat. Libertarian Party is a big tent, and sometimes we wish it wasn't. But
I wish it was a big tent filled with different people sometimes.
yeah, right. I mean, but like, it's like going to like a libertarian event. Like how many times do you go to, you've been to a bunch, you've been to like tons of state conventions now. You've been to like you've probably been to Freedom Fest, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
But like when you go there, like there's people from all walks of life that some of them might even hate each other, but you get there and like they're not fighting when you get there. Not most of the time, I'm sure.
Right.
I'm sure
not in physically, no.
yeah, but it's all we just need to find a way to make ourselves more approachable to people. And I think that that's why someone like you is appealing for sure, because you are a teacher. Like you just said that, like you've been in universities and you teach college kids, which are not arguably, they're the most insufferable type of people that there are.
Oh,
Let's
totally.
be honest. And they already have a lot of this is where they're forming a lot of their political opinions based on what they're learning in school. And this is why society as a whole is going down the shitter. But, as a professor, you know how to talk to these people. This is a demographic of people that the Libertarian Party does not reach at all. Right. Like what are we doing to reach people that are my age? I didn't find this because of the Libertarian Party. I found it on my own. You know what I mean? So I don't know, like what do you think that we can do as a party to reach people that are kind of more my age? Like
I'm going to be going on a college tour.
Right. There you go.
Yeah. We're arranging it now. I'm going on a college tour. I'm going to talk at all these different colleges and universities all over the country now. And we're going to bring in people that are, liberty minded, and we're going to bring in people that are like statists, And so we'll just talk to them, and I will use my knowledge of where they're coming from. Like I know what they've been indoctrinated into thoroughly, and I know how to take it apart. And that's what I'm going to do right in front of them.
I love that. I think that's a great idea. Doing the college tour, going to talk to people in real life. Like, this is a place where like, I think that there's like a lot of like probably viral potential too. Like I know you're not going there to have like a bunch of gotcha moments like Ben Shapiro did or something like that.
No, this is not to have arguments with them and to sort of try to humiliate a freshman in college. No, that's not my style.
Right. That's not, but in the same way that like Spike Cohen just did a debate at Dartmouth, like with David Hogue, on gun rights. You're pitching the ideas of like why it's important to respect individual rights and why it's important to respect gun rights. And I know like a big thing for you is like alternative currency, which is huge among college kids. So I think that like, that's going to really resonate with people too. Like economically, I was an economics major, and I can tell you right now, there wasn't a lick of economics that I learned in college that translates into real life at all. It was all guesswork, and it was all completely made up.
Yeah. You probably didn't even hear of Mises while in college.
No. Well, actually, I became an anarcho-capitalist when I was in college. So I did. That's when I found, Rothbard,
but not from them, not from the
from them. No, they did not teach me any of this stuff.
Hey, do you mind if I move my setup?
No, not at all. While you're doing that, I'll actually play something real quick that I've got on Twitter here that you posted a little while back. You quote tweeted me because we had met in Massachusetts down at one of their dinners, and then you quote tweeted it, and this is pretty funny here. You're coming for that emo caucus endorsement, and I love how you got Termott, Chase, yourself, and then Hornberger and Josh over there. But and so when I've talked to almost every candidate that's across the board, except for I haven't talked to Hornberger. I've reached out to him, but he never got back to me, and I don't know what he's doing, to be honest with you, these days. I actually supported him a couple years ago too. But it's kind of funny because I asked all the candidates, who if you won, if somehow you won the presidential race, and you get there and you're in the White House, will you change the national anthem to the Black Parade by My Chemical Romance? And the only person that said no was actually Mike Termott. And that's where he lost me. He lost me because he said he's not going to change the national anthem to the Black Parade. But you said you'd go with it, and I appreciated that. So I think that that's definitely appealing to the emo caucus, and it's great. So, oh, you're muted.
Yeah, I think that would be a better national anthem. Sure.
Yeah, I mean, we need to do something. We need to do a little upgrade. Maybe do some psychedelic furs or something like that too. I mean, you can do either one, man. Like I think that we'd be in off to like some better stuff. So, but anyways, like, so on that note, so obviously, like I had said, some of my favorite music growing up were like the punk bands, and like they kind of helped form a lot of my political opinions. And I'm not sure if you have a similar story or not. But I guess what are some of your favorite bands, and how have they influenced you in your life?
Well, I'd say the first artist that had the most major influence on me was not a punk band, but well, whatever you want to call it. Bob Dylan was the biggest first influence.
You look like a Bob Dylan guy. I can tell you like some Bob Dylan.
You can tell?
I can tell.
Yeah. And not the early stuff, like the times they were changing and blowing in the wind. I don't like that shit at all. But I like when he said, when he sang his song on the other side of Bob Dylan, he sang this song called the name of it.
Did you? So I know that he was very anti-war. I know Bob Dylan.
Yes, I agree with that. Masters of War, great song.
Yep.
Yeah. God on Our Side.
Yeah. Now, back when you were listening to Bob Dylan, would you say that like you shared similar views on a lot of that? Like, have you always been anti-war?
Yes, I was always anti-war.
Nice. That's awesome.
And, pro-liberty. I guess I'm trying to look at this song list. Hold on. Another side of Bob Dylan. The song I want to mention is okay, hold on. It's My Back Pages. Yeah, My Back Pages. And my Back Pages is lyrically very interesting. He's basically at this point he's signing out of the social justice crowd and saying basically that sorry, I forgot that. Sorry about that. I started playing it but it's a video. It's an ad there. I'm looking for the lyrics, and he's saying basically good and bad, and I defined these terms so clear somehow, but I was so much older than I'm younger than that now. And he does this with a number of things like black and white. He says equality. I spoke their word as if a wedding vow, but I was so much older than I'm younger than that now. So it's kind of like he reverses out of this whole social justice type stuff. And that's when he gets very interesting, because his music becomes extremely, first of all, he has a lot of lovelorn ballads and things like that are just incredible. And anyway, moving on. And I got very into the punk movement when I was in my 20s. And the favorite was The Clash.
That's right. Yeah, we were talking about The Clash. I think that you were saying you had some kind of connection with The Clash, right?
Yeah, I studied under Allen Ginsberg at Naropa Institute in Boulder, Colorado, when I was 20, and I studied under Allen Ginsberg there. And was like a awesome poet. Yeah, beat poet.
Yeah. And he was a Buddhist too.
He became a Buddhist, yes.
Yeah.
But his first book that was really a blowout book was called Howl, H-O-W-L, Howl. And anyway, he was asked while I was his apprentice to be on the album Combat Rock. So he actually chants during some of these songs on Combat Rock. I think it's called something about Metropolis. Yeah, Metropolis. And then going forward, I guess I got into New Wave as well.
Well, I know, and Ginsberg was he's very much so like a pro free speech guy, right? And I know that he was outspoken.
Very, very much a libertarian in many senses.
He was anti-war. He was against the Vietnam War. I know that people had some kind of I don't know. He was for gay rights, I believe, too, which is also
he was a major gay rights figure. And I have nothing against that either. But what I ended up saying in one of my books was he would be utterly alienated and disgusted by this current left, because he considered himself a leftist.
I think a lot of people from then, though, on the left would be appalled by what they look at now, because it's not even close to the same picture.
No, nothing at all. They're all pro-establishment. And we could talk about how they managed to get them in that position. But then I guess going forward musically, I got into new wave music. I used to get into slam dancing and shit like that. In my 20s, I would go to slam dancing bars. And I loved that shit, man. We would slam dance against glass and shit.
That's awesome. I did have a question in the comments there too. It was from Shannon. She asks, does Rect think the Grateful Dead was a psyop?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, LSD was definitely a psyop.
For sure. There's no questions there.
CIA production. So whether the Grateful Dead, no, that's a leftist meme, a leftist notion, because they're saying they took the left, who could have made these changes, but then they directed them into drugs so they would be less effective politically. That they would direct them into LSD and drugs so they would make them ineffectual politically. But I don't think the Grateful Dead per se is a psyop. I mean, it's some great music.
I remember I like the Grateful Dead. I'm not necessarily a Deadhead. I like the Grateful Dead, some of the music and a lot of the music. But I actually went to a church growing up too that one of their old guitar players was the pastor now. I don't know. They've had a lot of people in and out of that band. And they very much so all over the map when it comes to philosophy. But like, so going back into that, so like you got into, new wave and all that, and you've got like a punk background as well. Like you like the Clash. Were there like a lot of other punk bands that you used to listen to, or?
Yeah, I mean there were others, yeah, for sure. I don't know if you call this punk, but I like Lou Reed.
Okay. I mean, like punk rock, like we were saying before with emo, like it's like a big umbrella. So like to me, punk is a mindset more
Yeah,
than it's a music genre. And I
yeah,
think that like a lot of times, like there was like some shit that Bob Dylan said that was like really punk rock. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So like um it to me, yes, it fits. If it totally works, definitely. So
yeah. So I mean, then at one point I became the manager of my son's band, or my son's career, I should say.
no way.
Yeah,
So what do you know about music management, brother? I used to be a music manager too, or a band manager. That's awesome.
I learned a little bit.
Did you like what did you do with that?
My
Like did
son
you,
fired me though eventually.
oh come on, dude, that's fucked up. That's gotta be hopefully Thanksgiving dinner wasn't too awkward that
Well, what
year.
it was is he had an article coming out on Billboard the next day, and I said, "We got to release a song, man, so that we get this excitement built up on Billboard. You got to have a song out that they're gonna go to." So I released
Hmm.
it, and he fired me over that.
Oh geez, dude.
I pulled the
Dang.
trigger on the song, put it up on all the platforms with one click, and boom, 2 clicks probably. Yeah.
Dang. That's crazy. So like you kind of like were out there with like
That's
kind of
while I
dealing with
was
like
a professor at NYU. I was doing that.
media. You did like dealt with like the media. You dealt with like a lot of like the distribution, I'm assuming then, and
Yeah.
all that planning and stuff. That's
Yeah.
crazy. Like I wish like he would have had opportunity to tour because he is super talented. Like people definitely need to listen to
He toured a
Dylan
while
Rose.
with Mac Miller. He toured with Mac in England, actually, but not.
Oh, okay, okay. Um, and like it's kind of funny because we actually, me and your son, it's possible, not guaranteed, that we might have some overlap on our friend groups, possibly.
Hmm.
Like back in the day, there was this guy who his name's Matt, but he opened a show for us under the name Black Bear. And now Black Bear is like a huge worldwide known guy who actually is kind of in the same circles. You might not know who he is, but Black Bear is very popular. And yeah, we might have some overlap. Possibly.
It's possible, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not in the emo milieu or crowd, but I think some of his music's emo.
Well, yeah, this was more pop and stuff,
Yeah.
like hip hoppy stuff too.
Oh,
So
I see. Yeah,
yeah.
I see.
But that's okay. Like the song you showed me, at least No Control, that sounded like that had like I could feel the emo in it, dude. Like I think it checks out for sure. So dude, like what are you up to your life? Like when you're not like now that all these like conventions are over and stuff, like
Well, we're just gearing
I'm
up for the final run
the,
here, and
the final hurrah, just planning.
the final dash to the finish line. So there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff going on, and talking to a lot of people, and there's some money raising. I've got to do that. We got to get donations in to get to the finish line here.
Where can people donate to you?
They can go to rectheregime.com, rectheregime.com, and you'll see a link there for the donor link. And yeah, man, we need some donations because we got to get to the final. Now, I put my own money in this. I put, I think, upwards of 25,000 now.
Wow.
So I'm not asking for anything that I didn't do. And
Yeah.
secondly, I'm saying, I know we're not going to win, but what is it worth to have the message that I'm telling out there? What is that worth to you? I'm not going to say, "Will you give to me?" and I get a yes or no. I want you to ask yourself, what is it worth to have the liberty message in its most radical form on the national stage, getting attention and driving people toward libertarian views?
Mm.
Now,
like that's a point. So like obviously like getting into the debates, even this is something that libertarians are always trying to do. It's obviously never a guarantee. Like it doesn't happen very often. Um, but like even more so, I think like with the connections that we've been able to establish as libertarians and the way that especially certain like bigger media folk like I don't know, like Tim Pool or Joe Rogan have been, like I think that like us trying to get in front of those people and getting our message out with those audiences is arguably more important than getting on a debate stage. I don't know how you feel about that, but
Yeah,
I mean they're both
absolutely.
important. But I think that like if you go on a 3-hour podcast with Joe Rogan, you can go into way more detail than a 2-minute explain why you think how you're going to fix the economy. You know what I mean? So
Right. Yeah, that's the point. Yeah, we'll get on those shows. You know, I'll be on Tucker because I've been on Tucker 4 times. They know me.
oh
Um,
nice.
yeah, they know me. I've been on all those shows. So I haven't been on Rogan, but
You'll
we're
get
gonna,
there. That's going to happen. Like you get the
yeah,
nom in DC, you're going to get on Rogan.
yeah, because not only do he'll be interested, but Dave Smith and he are very decent or close friends, I guess, of some sort. So
You have been on Tim Pool though, right?
yeah,
I'm
I've been
pretty
on
sure I
there
saw you on there.
twice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been on there twice.
Yeah. So I guess like what's your plan? Like so after DC you want to go on like a college tour, go out and like talk to people.
Yeah, we want to
Um
connect to people. We're going to try to make more libertarians. That's what we're going to do.
and like what do you think is like a good like strategy like marketing wise? Like do you think like
I don't know. I'm not the marketing guy. I'll leave that.
sure, but like do you think like it's better to kind of like I don't know, like I feel like a lot of like the last several elections, I feel like a lot of like the libertarians at least they've kind of just played it safe. Um I think that like by going out and talking to people, college kids, etc., um, there's a lot of chance for like having like viral videos and stuff. And like I know, like you said, you're not going out there to try to have like some kind of gotcha moment, but at the same time, um, going out there and talking to people and having fun events and stuff like that, like there's the potential that you could have some viral videos out there. And I think that like that's basically what we're doing is we have a marketing campaign and like you said like people who believe that um you know libertarian message needs to get out there to more people. um they should obviously support you, and um the best way to do it is by obviously right now donating to your campaign, because there's still a long way ahead. Like the traveling like traveling to conventions is one thing, but like once you win the nomination, like you're gone for like months. And like, oh, by the way, I can't hear you, but the I think at the end of the day, you are a good candidate for this, because I mean you're used to traveling, doing talks, you've gone to a bunch of the conventions. I feel like me and you have met in person at least twice, maybe 3 times.
Yeah, I think 3 times. Yeah.
Yeah.
Excuse me for moving around so much. My back's hurting a little bit because I have to do some exercises. But yeah, sitting in a chair doesn't help.
No worries. No worries.
Yeah.
But like I don't know, like maybe we could do a little like Liberty Music Festival, like something like that, man. Like you could front one of your favorite. Maybe we can get some band to let you come and do like a full karaoke set. I'm sure that you're a
That would
decent
be great.
singer.
Yeah, that would be great. That would be great.
Just don't sing the national anthem. The last time I saw a presidential candidate sing the national anthem, it did not go very well. So
no, I won't be doing that.
Yeah. But cool. So you got like a video coming out that's made by our friend Smots too.
Right.
Are you waiting for after DC for that, or?
No, that's going to drop just before.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And like so from
relaxing here, but it's been a long day. No,
you're good, dude. You're good. I totally understand. But and dude, to be honest with you, that's punk rock, man. That's punk rock. You're doing things the non-traditional way. You're doing things your way. But yeah, so I guess you've done a lot of stuff with, you did the college professor route. You've written all these books. How do all of this stuff, like, how does all this stuff translate? Because like you came from like a different background, obviously, and I don't want to like get too deep into it, but like, would you say that the music upbringing you had translated into you also having certain views in what you would teach or what you write about? Did the alternative cultural impact that at all?
Oh yeah, for sure, man. I ended up writing about all this stuff because of how my values were formed through my adolescence and childhood and stuff. So indeed, it informed my research and my academic work, and then went on to inform the work I've done since then. The libertarian writing mostly. And I was involved in studying 19th century the British free thought movement, which
Oh yeah,
was
okay.
kind of like a precursor to libertarianism, because they were fighting for their free speech in the context of a state church, theocracy, really. And so I wrote all about that, and that's very informing of my views, secularism, and because they formed this body called secularism, and it wasn't against religion as people understand it. This is completely false. So it was just trying to bring about material improvement in the world without reference to anything extra material. So that was part of what my research was about. But anyway, I don't know if you want to go into stuff like that.
Well, I was gonna say, like, so when it comes, so here's the thing. It's like I'm writing a book right now. I've got it kind of like the beginning stages of a draft going right now. And it's called like all my favorite punk bands or statists. And it's just about how like all my old favorite bands kind of switched into doing this, right? And they all end up being like totally not anarchists, and just, especially during COVID, they just completely flipped upside down and turned into huge Democrat shills. But you've written 12 books now. So if you were to give advice to someone like me who's trying to like put out his first thing, what would you suggest? Because like writing your book is hard already, because time and history goes on. Your own opinions might change. Like it's also just kind of difficult to do. So what kind of advice would you give to someone who wants to write a book?
Oh, wow. Yeah. Well, first of all, you got to have the big idea. You got to have the big idea, and then you pursue it in all of its facets. That's what I do. So you try to get that big idea, and then you start plumbing that idea.
Are there any of your books that you wish you could take back or go back and edit?
No, I wouldn't do anything like that.
Nice.
I could add to them, but that's what I call my next book.
Right. You just kind of go off in the next one, right?
Right. Like my next one is going to be, pretty sure, the genealogy of the state.
Nice. Have you like kind of like just come up with this idea, or have you started actually writing?
I just came up with the idea. The idea is the big part.
Yeah.
And then you go into it. You figure out what are the parts of this thing, and you break it down, and then that breaks into chapters or sections, and then you just start writing, man. But you got to read. You got to read your ass off. You got to study. You got to know what you're talking about. You got to have the sources. You read all this stuff, then put it all down, and then start writing. Don't look at the sources while you're writing. Just write what you think, and then make the sources support your views, your argument, and then there's I would say, for me, I drank a lot of coffee, and in some books I had to start it off with a little dope, because
I hear that. Yeah.
I did that with my novel, Thought Criminal. I started off by smoking some dope and had an hallucination, and that's how I started the book.
Nice.
I'm
That's a good way to do
talking
it.
as a writer now, okay? So,
Sure. No, yeah.
and then so you want to get like a phrase. You got to get like for each thing that you start, you got to find a thread. Find the thread and start pulling on that thread, and just keep going
Mm,
and keep going. So the key to writing is to make people read the next word.
yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Keep it interesting. Keep it
Yes. So you
kind of
got to have
building up.
variegated language, because you want to surprise people with language that doesn't, that's different. Why? Because this keeps them going through, and putting it in ways that maybe they hadn't thought of as such. Putting it
Yeah.
in ways that are uh, expressed differently than, like if you want to talk about the state, for example, like talk about it from like a different angle than has been treated before. Or, in your case with these bands, you got to probably mix in some music, criticism, and
I've got a little bit of everything. Like I'm definitely gonna go down this route because like I think obviously like music IP restricts creativity so much, and
yeah,
the way AI is going right now, like you can like type in a prompt online and it'll come up with an entire song for you, and eventually it's gonna get to the point where we can't tell what a real song is versus a fake song.
right,
But like especially when it comes to like copyright laws and IP and stuff, like or like Napster and LimeWire. I'm sure you remember like Napster and LimeWire.
yeah,
People would like steal music, but the other side of that was like the music industry because of that was booming.
right,
And now that they're still stealing music because you'll have like 4 people sharing one Spotify account, but like now they're getting like 1/10,000th of a penny per stream versus back then. You know what I mean? They'd be getting actual money and making sales and having people show up at their concerts and all this stuff.
right.
Um, but awesome, man. Well, thanks so much for your time. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah,
I definitely appreciate all your work and your ethics, and I definitely, I'm excited for DC. It's going to be crazy.
yes, it is.
And I'll definitely have to catch up with you, before then. But tell us where we can find all your info. I mean, it's obviously a lot of it's on Wreck the Regime, but you have a couple different websites as well. So
Yeah, I also have michaelrectenwald.com, and that's where you find everything about me. Uh, all of my books are linked there, and I sell them directly as well, uh, as links to Amazon and direct sales. So, these are not self-published books at all, but I buy copies from the publisher and sell them from the website, michaelrectenwald.com. And you also find all of my media. This show will be up there when it's, when I get a link. And
yep.
we keep track of it all. And all my essays, it's all free. You don't have to pay through Substack or something like that. It's all free. I keep my essays all there. It's all in one place. Yeah.
Awesome, man. Cool. Well, I am gonna drop you backstage and we'll talk again soon.
Okay.
Thank you again so much for coming on. I definitely appreciate the talk. And
My pleasure.
and
Sorry for moving around so much.
yeah, no, you're good, brother. No, good.
All right.
I'll talk to you in just a moment. All right. Thank you guys so much for watching the show. I do have some really cool guests coming up still too. I know that tomorrow I'm supposed to have Josie, the redheaded libertarian, come on the show. We're still figuring that out. And then Sunday I have an awesome Naim Ali, who is a comedian. And he's going to be coming on the show talking about what he's doing. I believe he's going to be at Skankfest too. He's really fucking funny. And hopefully you guys will tune in for that. I hope you guys have a good rest of your week, and we will see you soon.